Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving into something absolutely crucial, and I'm talking directly to those of you preparing to step into the right seat. That's right, our future flight instructors. Now look, you already know how to fly, you've got the stick and rudder skills down pat. But today we're setting a totally new goal. We're talking about transitioning your mindset from simply being a really skilled pilot to becoming a highly effective, safety-obsessed instructor. It's the literal difference between flying the plane yourself and trusting someone else to do it while you guide them safely. We are unpacking the art and science of teaching in one of the most dynamic, high-stakes classrooms on the planet, the cockpit.
So let's kick things off with a pretty fundamental question. Is flying, the exact same thing as teaching well? I want you to really chew on that for a second. It's such a common trap to just assume that because you've mastered flying, you'll automatically be a master at instructing. But here's the reality. Being a great pilot means you know how to operate the machine. Being a great instructor, that means you know how to operate the human mind while the machine is moving. It's a totally different ballgame. It requires a completely new toolkit, one that's heavily focused on communication, psychology, and structured, clear evaluation.
To get you ready for that right seat, we are going to run through a 5-step syllabus today. We'll start right at the foundation with the human element, then we'll look at the method of actually transferring your knowledge. From there, it's on to command and safety, followed by advanced habit building. And finally, we'll cap the whole thing off with cultivating judgment. We've got a lot of ground to cover, so let's just jump right in.
All right, step 1, the human element. This is all about truly understanding your student. Listen, before you ever turn the key, before you even utter the word aerodynamics, you have to understand the human being sitting right next to you. Empathizing with your student's psychological and physical state is basically the prerequisite for any actual learning to happen. If they aren't ready to receive information, your brilliant, perfectly crafted explanations are just going to bounce right off them. Think about the primary obstacles to learning up in the air. We're talking anxiety, physical discomfort, worry, impatience. Imagine trying to learn how to recover from a stall when you are intensely nauseous or running on zero sleep. It's literally impossible. Or think about apathy, often caused by a disorganized instructor. If you show up unprepared, your student is going to check out immediately. And we definitely can't forget anxiety. A healthy respect for aviation, great, but paralyzing fear, that completely shuts down the brain's ability to process anything new. As an instructor, you have to play detective. How do you spot anxiety? Look for the physical tells. Are they white-knuckling the yoke? Are they getting tunnel vision and completely missing obvious radio calls? You have to mitigate these human obstacles first. Maybe that means taking the controls and just doing a few gentle turns to let them catch their breath. Empathy is your #1 tool here.
Moving on to step 2, the method. How we actually take what's in your brain and put it in theirs.
Okay, so assuming your student is mentally and physically good to go, we get to the actual mechanics of teaching a maneuver. You can't just wing it up there. You need a highly structured approach to make sure the information actually sticks. Let's look at how instructional techniques have evolved. We've got the traditional process, the demonstration performance method, and then the incredibly effective telling and doing technique. I want to highlight that telling and doing method. Notice how the responsibility shifts back and forth. First, you, the instructor, tell and do. But then comes the middle step, student tells, instructor does. This right here, absolute magic. Before the student ever touches the controls, they have to verbally talk you through the entire maneuver. It proves, without a doubt, that they conceptually understand what's about to happen. Only after they nail that do we move to student tells, student does, and finally, student does, instructor evaluates. It's this brilliant layered system that dictates exactly who is acting and who is evaluating at every single stage, ensuring their brain is fully engaged before they ever apply physical pressure to those controls.
Which brings us to section 3, command and safety. It's all about managing that cockpit environment.
The second that instruction begins, maintaining absolute safety in a crystal clear chain of command is non-negotiable. The cockpit is an incredibly unforgiving place, and ambiguity up there is dangerous. So, the most crucial point is managing who is actually flying the airplane at any given second. Enter the positive exchange of flight controls. This isn't a suggestion, it's a rigid 3-part verbal contract. Step 1, you say, you have the flight controls. Step 2, the student takes the yoke and verbally confirms, I have the flight controls. Step 3, you release your controls and confirm, you have the flight controls. Why are we so obsessive about this? Because historically, tons of accidents have happened simply due to crossed wires. The instructor thought the student had it, the student thought the instructor had it, and guess what? Nobody was flying the plane. And it's not just verbal, by the way. You visually verify their hands are on the yoke and feet are on the pedals before you let go. Ambiguity here isn't just confusing, it's lethal. This simple 3-step dance eliminates it entirely.
Another massive piece of the cockpit safety puzzle is focus. You've probably heard of the sterile cockpit rule.
Legally, that's 14 CFR 121.542. It requires flight crews to hold off on all non-essential activities during critical phases of flight. As an instructor, you have got to model and enforce this behavior from the very first flight. Paint a mental picture with me. You're in a super busy traffic pattern, setting up for a complex approach, and suddenly your student starts rambling about this crazy movie they saw last weekend. Yeah, no, that is a massive recipe for disaster. So, what exactly counts as a critical phase? Basically, it's taxiing, takeoff, landing, and pretty much all flight operations below 10,000 feet, excluding normal cruise. During these times, your brain needs 100% capacity strictly for flying the aircraft. And non-essential activities? That means no eating, no reading a magazine, and absolutely no idle chit-chat. As the instructor, you've got to set a hard boundary. The moment you cross into a critical phase, the conversation is strictly about the aircraft, the airspace, and the maneuver. Period. If a student tries to bring up their weekend plans while you're on the downwind leg, you just kindly but firmly remind them, sterile cockpit. You are teaching them the life-saving discipline of aviation focus.
But, and here's the twist, part of teaching that focus is actually testing it. Because in the real world, things go wrong, right? A door pops open, a passenger gets sick, or ATC throws a rapid-fire clearance at you out of nowhere. As an instructor, you must deliberately and safely introduce distractions to see if your student can handle them without losing safe control of the aircraft. You have to know they'll fly the airplane first, no matter what chaos is happening in the cabin. A classic move? Ask them to grab a dropped pen from the floorboard while flying straight and level, or suddenly ask them to tune in a brand new radio frequency. If the nose drops instantly, or they bank sharply while looking away, well, you know their priorities are backwards. Aviate, navigate, communicate. You test that exact hierarchy by using controlled distractions.
All right, moving into Section 4, Advanced Habit Building, specifically through integrated flight instruction.
Remember, you aren't just teaching them how to do a steep turn. You are literally programming the reflexes they're going to rely on for the rest of their lives. The cornerstone of this is integrated flight instruction. What does that mean? It means teaching students to perform maneuvers using outside visual references alongside their flight instruments, right from day one. We don't do the old school, look outside for a few weeks, then later we'll teach you to look inside thing. Combining them immediately creates profound efficiency. Look, a super common rookie mistake is getting totally fixated inside the cockpit. They just stare at the airspeed indicator or the altimeter like it's a TV screen, completely forgetting they're flying an actual airplane in three-dimensional space. Your job is to constantly force their eyes back outside. Teach them to feel the aircraft, see the attitude on the horizon, and then quickly sweep their eyes inside just to confirm it with the precision of the instruments.
So how do we build this in practice? It breaks down into 3 distinct steps. First, the briefing. You lay out the functions, tell them exactly what instrument indications to expect, and explain what the sight picture outside should look like. Second, you introduce the maneuver, explicitly pointing out both the outside references and the instrument readings as you do it. Third, you have them apply the maneuver, and you demand that constant integration. And why is this such a big deal? Because it ties directly into 14 CFR 91.113, the right-of-way rules, and the whole concept of see and avoid. A pilot who is constantly integrating their scan is a pilot whose eyes are always moving, checking the panel for precision, scanning the horizon for traffic. That constant movement, that habit pattern you build on their very first lesson, that's what keeps everyone alive.
And that brings us to our final section, cultivating judgment. This, folks, is the ultimate goal.
We have officially reached the climax of the instruction journey. You've taught them the maneuvers, you've drilled in the safety protocols, you've built rock-solid habits. Now you have to elevate them to the highest level of pilot cognition. Think about this for a second. What is the absolute ultimate skill for safe flight? Is it a buttery smooth, greased landing? Is it holding an altitude within 10 feet? I mean, nope. Those are great, but the ultimate skill is what happens between the pilot's ears way before the aircraft even gets near a dangerous situation. We are talking about aeronautical decision-making, or ADM.
ADM is basically a systematic framework for thinking under pressure. First, you define the problem. Is it a weather issue, a mechanical gremlin? Next, you choose a course of action from your available options. Then you implement that decision, and, this is key, constantly evaluate the outcome. And interwoven through that entire process is continuous risk management. As an instructor, you aren't just grading their steep turns anymore, you are creating complex scenarios where they have to use this mental framework. Imagine you simulate a sudden drop in oil pressure during a cross-country. You absolutely do not solve it for them. You make them define the problem. Decreasing oil pressure, engine failure might be imminent. You make them choose a course of action. Divert to the nearest airport immediately. Implement and evaluate. Turn towards the field, pitch for best glide if it dies, and continuously assess if they're actually going to make the runway. You are teaching them how to be cold, calculating, and logical when the pressure is absolutely through the roof.
And look, there are a ton of factors that impact a pilot's ability to make those decisions. You have to teach them to perform brutally honest self-assessments. That means recognizing hazardous attitudes in themselves, like being overly macho or feeling invulnerable, and managing their own stress. They need to know how to aggressively use their resources, from the autopilot right up to air traffic control. They've got to master workload management so they never get behind the airplane, and above all, situational awareness. But here's the thing, you don't just lecture them on stress with a PowerPoint, you teach this actively in the plane. After a totally chaotic, stressful crosswind landing, you debrief it. You ask them, hey, how did your workload feel on short final? What radio calls did you miss because you were fixated on the runway centerline? Giving them the mental tools to evaluate their own decision-making process is how you forge a genuinely safe, independent pilot.
Let's wrap up with this final, powerful thought. Your role goes beyond making pilots. It is raising leaders who protect lives. Being a flight instructor is an incredibly immense responsibility. You are literally the filter for the entire aviation community. The habits, the safety culture, the judgment you instill in your students today, that is going to echo in cockpits for decades to come. Your ultimate completion standard isn't just signing off a logbook. It's the enduring, lifelong safety of the pilots you forge. So I want you to think deeply about that as you get ready to take that right seat. How are you going to shape the next generation of aviators?